Alright guys, the King of New York is back, and this time we got the episode on Steve. Should you main Steve, the monster himself, the Diamond Demon, the Stock Slayer? This character is just straight up probably the best character in Ultimate. That is the first thing to talk about this character with, is that he is on every single tier list. He is number one. He is the most powerful character, and he's one of the most unique characters in Ultimate. So when you're looking at Steve, one of the most unique characters in Smash, what is his playstyle going to look like? Steve is the character to play if you want to play a zoner combo character hybrid. He is going to keep the opponent at bay with his combination of walls, minecart, and safe mid-range hitboxes. And when he hits the opponent, he is going to do a lot of damage. His combo game is one of the best in Ultimate. He will devastate stocks. And of course, he has a lot of unique mechanics that you have to learn and the opponent has to play around. He's going to be one of the most creative characters and doesn't play like any other character you've seen in Smash, period. A large part of your gameplay with this character is just going to be establishing space by making walls with blocks. You're going to use these to stop the opponent from getting in your face, and you're going to use this time to mine for resources. You're going to use these resources to get access to stronger weapons with diamond, iron, gold, whatever. And you use these to get access to better moves, with in particular using iron. Iron, of course, is going to give you access to minecart and down air. Minecart is just one of the best moves in Smash, period. Not even Ultimate, just in Smash overall. It is a fast move. It has lots of damage output. You can combo off of it. You can kill with it. It also is a grab move if Steve jumps out of it. It has armor on the front of the move, so you have to hit Steve at the top of the move, which can be really difficult because it has so much speed and can be used from the ground or the air. And this move shines particularly when you have gold. When you don't have gold as Steve, it's not the fastest move. But when you have gold, this move just zooms. This move is going to be able to shut down most characters by itself and will frustrate a lot of players. This move is going to be what lets you punish even the slightest mistakes pretty much on accident. This move is one of the most hated moves in Ultimate, and it is a cornerstone of Steve's offense, defense, setups, you name it. You better learn to love using Side B, because this move is what makes Steve so strong in a lot of ways. However, the thing about Steve is, outside of minecart, he's actually an extremely slow character. With that said, he makes up for it with the fact that his close range game is absurd, especially for a character meant to get space. His jab and up tilt are some of the highest damage combo starters in Ultimate, and they're really fast and they're really safe up close. A lot of characters can't punish up tilt up close if it's the front hit of it. Jab itself is hard for a lot of characters to punish, and the risk reward of getting hit by Steve jab makes trying to go for a punish not worth it a lot of times. And as a result, a lot of characters, when they're right in up tilt jab pressure range and Steve has momentum, they have to run away, because if you get the hit, you're gonna get 50% damage on your most basic combos. And when you practice his combos, you can actually get up to 0 to death combos with lots of execution. With that said, you have to be willing with this character to learn the execution on these combos, because these combos are technical. You have to do block cancels. You have to know how to use fair spikes. You have to know the percents. You have to react to DI and SDI. You have to know all these things. So his combo game has a lot of labbing required, with lots of reward if you get that labbing down. With that said, this character doesn't sound much of a zoner space control monster right outside of his blocks. And that's where you'd be wrong, because he has access to back air. Back air is a phenomenal spacing tool. If your opponent's playing right outside the range of your tilts. It's a big hitbox. It comes out at decent speed, but it also just hits really, really hard. So the opponent has to respect back air, which becomes a problem when the opponent's trying to jump over your walls or jump right outside the range of your tilts, leading them right into ranges of your back air. And if you hit the opponent back air, if it kills them, cool. If it doesn't kill them, it creates a lot of space on hit to mine for resources. And the threat alone of that move is going to force people to respect it, meaning you're going to have a lot of situations with Steve where you have to decide, are you going to get more aggressive with back air, or do you expect your opponent to respect the back air and you're going to use that time instead to mine for resources? And of course, if Steve gets diamond, that's when this character becomes broken. Like, he's a great character already, but once he has diamond, that is his end goal, right? Is create space to get diamond. He becomes the best character in the game easily, hands down. Not only do you have combos off your jab and up tilt, pretty much you have a lot of moves that combo with Steve. You can combo off your grab, you can combo off your up air, minecart. Like, this character is just a combo monster because he has so many ways to lead into his deadly combos. And really, anything that isn't smashes can, in some way or another, give you setups. Also, another part of Steve's game plan is his parry game. Because he has such good close range buttons, he is able to punish a lot of things out of parry with ease. When you're learning Steve, something you want to do to really like learn this character is learn how to parry. Get your parry down tilts, your parry jabs, your parry up tilts. Because you get that parry, you get a jab off of it, and the opponent's not going to hate your shield anymore, which lets you once again create space to get your resources after you zero death them. And finally, of course, with this character, beyond all these like more traditional like strengths you can have in a character in Ultimate, Steve is just, he's creative. Every Steve you watch, that's good, has different setups. They have different setups in neutral using minecarts and blocks. They have different ledge trap setups, and this character's ledge trapping game has infinite creativity to kill people with things like TNT, down air, blocks, minecart, you name it. There's just so much stuff. You know, you can just create, you can draw Fs and Ls in neutral if you want to taunt your opponent. You can use his block steps to get out of disadvantage. There is so much potential for death machines, platforming, trolling, you name it with this character. And as a result, this character really doesn't have any like traditional weaknesses. His ledge trapping is phenomenal. His juggling is, it's okay. His juggling is a little bit subpar, honestly, due to speed. His edge guarding is absolutely disgusting, but it does require a lot of creativity and matchup knowledge. In disadvantage, he is extremely hard to juggle due to down air and minecart and the blocks. He's hard to edge guard due to minecart and being an angle is up B. Even at the ledge, because there's so many burst options with minecart, with up B, and with a threat of like roll into tilts, he is very hard to ledge trap. There is not a single spot in Ultimate where Steve is a particularly bad character, for the most part. And the exception is what we'll get into next. Now, Steve's biggest weakness is his reliance on materials. You have to manage your resources properly. Like, when you're playing Steve, you don't get to just play standard Smash. You have to accept you're playing like 40 Smash Brothers, because if you get caught in this Smash without iron, you don't have access to down air to kill people as a reversal option and challenge like juggles. You don't have minecart to burst people down and like have good mobility in the air or really anywhere. So you have to be careful with those resources. If you run out of blocks, you can't make blocks anymore. If you don't have enough resources to make like a TNT, your ledge trapping gets a lot worse. Like, this character lives and dies by his resource management, and good players are gonna force you to use minecarts to get a disadvantage because he's really important disadvantage without that move. And that's gonna be the difficulty, is finding out when you need to use minecarts and other resources and when you can go without them and save those resources. And even beyond just iron, like, this character really excels when he gets diamond. And you do need a bit of mining time to get diamond. So if you're fighting someone that's keeping you from getting diamond, they're keeping you off the ground, they're interrupting your mining, they're taking your socks right before you get diamond, or even if you just like use diamond and you die immediately when you get it, those situations where you're deprived of having that is going to be a huge issue. This character is so good, but this character requires you to play both Smash and to play his whole minigame, and everyone you're fighting knows this. They're going to play around it. You are going to fight people who have lots of matchup knowledge and are ready to punish you for even the slightest mistakes in resource management due to how common this character is. Another main issue for the character is that he is very slow. You need minecart and up B to be mobile. His other burst option is like dash attack, which isn't even that good of a burst option. Like, most characters can chase you down. Like, if someone wants to run at you, they can run at you. If someone wants to run away from you, they can run away from you as well. You are constantly getting a situation where your opponent is in control of like, is the match going to be aggressive or defensive? And you have to play reactive to how the opponent wants to play the matchup. This also just means that a lot of times the opponent can get away with throwing out like safe moves, and you can't do much about it. Like, if someone's like spacing with like a sword aerial, a lot of times you have to just hold the L and say, oh, they spaced the button. You can't really do anything about that. Or someone's just jumping around like throwing out projectiles. A lot of times you have to just hold shield, put up block walls, and like let them throw out those projectiles while you're mining, which Getting mining time is fine, but the point is, you're not really able to force things, right? You have to kind of let these things happen. You have to let these openings come to you. And that can be really frustrating versus players who aren't making many mistakes, especially if you're at a deficit with Steve, or if you're in a situation without resources. It's gonna be very rough. And this isn't a weakness intrinsic to the character itself, but this is definitely an issue with playing Steve. People hate Steve, just straight up. He is very unfun to fight. He is very strong, and people are very toxic towards Steve mains. That's something you have to deal with if you're a Steve player, is you have to deal with people basically just disliking your character and potentially being very toxic towards you just because of your character choice. And that's something you don't want to deal with. That's gonna be rough if you want to play Steve. When it comes to his viability, Steve is just the best character in Ultimate, like, easily. His results across the board have been just insane. And he's a character with so much infinite potential that, like, a lot of his tech is still unexplored. Like, a lot of his tech is known and not even applied yet. He has so much room to grow. With that said, his basic game plan of play defensive, get resources, overwhelm people is so strong that you don't even need to know this tech to win with the character. At worst, some people put him as like maybe top 3 instead of top 1. And his matchup chart really shows this. He just straight up beats most characters, like, solidly. Like, there's a lot of characters where Steve is borderline unwinnable for them, according to a lot of mains. He has barely any matchups that can even be considered, like, even. His, like, matchups that are potentially losing, such as Mimin and Cloud, are, like, barely losing. He has a lot of counterplay due to just how deep his kit is. So really, like, he doesn't have any hard losing matchups, really. He has tools for everything. He is just the best character for a reason. With that said, a lot of the matchups that are potentially harder for him, like characters like Cloud, Min, even Fox has been shown to be pretty hard for Steve players with Light's performance. Just a lot of characters that, like, are decent versus him are more popular characters in general. So you're gonna destroy characters that, like, aren't that common and good for reason, but you're gonna run into a lot of matchups in bracket where it's like, this character is annoying. And when it comes to the top Steve players, you have a lot of options to work with. You have Akala, potentially the best player in the world, the best player in Japan right now, and he is actually a pretty aggressive Steve, using Steve's parry game and block and minecart placement to actually get in the opponent's face and use his combo game and apply his very, like, technical ledge trapping with TNT and stuff. Jake is a much more campy Steve, kind of playing the normal, like, hide behind block walls and then use minecart to punish people trying to get past him games plan. And if your opponent gets hit by it, cool. If not, he just kind of does it over and over to get resources and kind of steamroll people through, like, long game plans. Oni is kind of a mix of the Akola and Jake. I think he just kind of plays in the middle of, he'll get aggressive when he needs to. He'll play behind block walls and camp minecarts when he needs to. And he's kind of the most traditional, well-balanced Steve in that regard. And then DD is a great Steve to look at for block setups. Like, he's really good at using blocks to edge guard opponents, to move around in neutral. Like, if you want to look at someone using blocks as a platform, DD is the Steve to look at. But there's so many Steve players, and all the Steve players have different tricks and intricacies. They can learn a lot from pretty much watching any good Steve. So the question is, should you main this character? And the answer is, if you want the best defensive character in this game, the best character setting up a wall, quite literally, hiding behind it, using it to bait things out and punishing it, and you want that attached to a character with insane combo game, but a technical, like, hurdle you have to come over in terms of learning the combo game and his block setups, he might be for you. He is actually quite a difficult character to pick up because of learning how to set up blocks quickly in all these setups, and it requires a lot of practice to get his combos down. So you have to be ready to invest a bit of time, but you do get the best character in the game for that. With that said, this character, even though Akola is a more aggressive Steve, this character is not an aggressive character. This character is not able to chase the opponents. So if you're not a patient player, if you want a more pick up and play character, this character is not for you at all. And with that said, that is the block demon himself, Steve, or Enderman, or a zombie. Really, whatever you want to play. You got a few skin options, which is awesome.